Let me tell you something that I don't think enough people are talking about right now. And I say that as someone who watches every single Dodgers game, who has seen some of the most dominant pitching performances this franchise has ever produced. What Shohei Ohtani is doing on the mound in 2026 is not normal. It is not just good. It is historically, statistically, embarrassingly dominant, and the numbers back that up in a way that should stop every baseball fan dead in their tracks. Last night, Ohtani went out there and did it again. 7 innings. 0 runs. Just absolutely suffocating the opposing lineup from the first pitch to the last. And look, we have spent a lot of time this season talking about his bat, about the offensive numbers being down, about whether the Shohei of last year is still in there somewhere. And those are fair conversations to have. But when a guy is pitching like this, I need us to pause everything else and just appreciate what we are witnessing in real time. Through 7 starts in 2026, Shohei Ohtani has an ERA of 0.82. Read that again. 0.82. That is not a typo. That is not a small sample size fluke. That is 7 outings of completely suffocating opposing lineups, 7 times stepping on that mound and refusing to let anyone score on him. And when you start digging into what that number actually means historically, that's when things get really crazy. Baseball researcher Sarah Langs went and did the work, and what she found puts everything into perspective. In the entire history of the Los Angeles Dodgers franchise, a franchise that has produced some of the most legendary pitchers in baseball history, Hall of Famers, Cy Young winners, guys whose names are carved into the DNA of this sport, the only Dodger pitcher who had a lower ERA than Shohei Ohtani at this point in the season is Fernando Valenzuela. That's it. Just Fernando. Every other pitcher in Dodgers history? Ohtani is ahead of all of them. Now think about what that actually means. We're talking about a franchise that gave us Sandy Koufax, arguably the most dominant pitcher of his era, a guy who literally redefined what it meant to be an ace. We're talking about Clayton Kershaw, who spent the better part of a decade making every lineup in the National League look completely helpless. We're talking about Don Drysdale, Don Sutton, Orel Hershiser, names that echo through Dodger Stadium every single time someone walks up those ramps. And through 7 starts, Shohei Ohtani has a lower ERA than every single one of them except Fernando Valenzuela. That alone should be the headline everywhere. But Sarah Langs didn't stop there. Because Ohtani isn't just making Dodger history. He's making baseball history. When you look at the list of pitchers who have posted a sub-0.85 ERA with 50 or more strikeouts through their first 7 outings of a season, and we're going back to 1913 here, over 100 years of earned run data, the list has 6 names on it. 6! In over a century of professional baseball. Dutch Leonard in 1914. Fernando Valenzuela in 1981. Zach Greinke in 2009 with Kansas City. Johan Santana in 2009. Jacob deGrom in 2021. And now Shohei Ohtani in 2026. Let that sink in. 6 names. Over 100 years. And Shohei Ohtani is one of them. You want to talk about the other guys on that list for a second? Because this isn't a list of just good pitchers. These are some of the most legendary seasons in the history of the sport. Dutch Leonard in 1914 ended that season with one of the lowest ERAs ever recorded. Fernando Valenzuela's 1981 season, Fernando Mania, is still one of the most culturally significant moments in Dodgers history, a rookie going out and completely captivating an entire city, an entire country, winning both the Rookie of the Year and the Cy Young Award in the same year. Zach Greinke's 2015 season with the Dodgers, not 2009, but we'll get to that, was so dominant that people were seriously debating whether he deserved the Cy Young over Jake Arrieta. Johan Santana was a 2-time Cy Young winner, one of the most unhittable pitchers of the 2000s. And Jacob deGrom in 2021 was putting together what might have been the most statistically dominant pitching season in modern baseball history before injuries derailed it. That is the company Shohei Ohtani is keeping right now. Through 7 starts. Now let's talk about where this could go, because the trajectory here is genuinely exciting if you're a Dodgers fan. The record for best ERA in baseball history through 10 starts belongs to Jacob deGrom, who posted a 0.56 ERA in 2021. He allowed only 4 earned runs across 64 innings, and he struck out 105 batters. That is an almost fictional line. But here's the thing, Ohtani is currently at 0.82, and he has 3 more starts to go before that 10-start marker. Can he catch deGrom? That would take a level of perfection that's hard to even imagine. But is it completely out of the question? After what we've seen over the last 7 weeks, I'm not ruling anything out. Fernando Valenzuela, for reference, ended his first 10 starts with an ERA of 1.24. So Ohtani is currently well below Fernando through 7, and he has 3 more chances to either maintain that gap or see it close. The history books are right there, and Shohei Ohtani is riding in them every single time he takes the ball. Now let's zoom out and think about the full season picture, because that's where things get really interesting for Dodger fans who care about where this ranks all time. The franchise record for lowest ERA in a single season goes all the way back to the dead ball era, when Rube Marquard posted a 1.58 ERA in 1915. That era was a completely different game, lower run environments, different baseball, different conditions, so it's hard to compare directly to what we see today. In the modern era, meaning since 1920, the Dodgers' single-season ERA record belongs to Zack Greinke, who posted a 1.66 ERA in 2015. And that season was something else. Greinke and Clayton Kershaw were both absolute monsters that year, mowing through lineup after lineup, and Greinke was so good that there was a legitimate debate about whether he should win the Cy Young even while pitching on the same team as Kershaw. That is how dominant he was. Clayton Kershaw's best season for ERA was 2014, when the Southpaw legend posted a 1.77. And then you've got Sandy Koufax, who had 2 seasons even better than that. A 1.73 ERA in 1966. A 1.74 in 1964. These are the gold standards, the benchmarks that every Dodger pitcher gets measured against, the numbers that get brought up whenever someone wants to talk about the greatest pitching seasons this organization has ever seen. And Fernando Valenzuela, just so we have the full picture, ended the 1981 season with a 2.48 ERA. Now that number is a little bit inflated by what happened in the second half of that season after the players' strike that split the year in two. His pre-strike numbers were absolutely electric, which is why Fernando Mania became what it became. But the final number was 2.48, which is still outstanding, still Cy Young worthy, still one of the most beloved seasons in Dodgers history. So here's what it comes down to. Shohei Ohtani right now, through 7 starts, has an ERA of 0.82. The modern-era Dodger record for a full season is 1.66. That means Ohtani has an enormous cushion, to absorb some regression over the second half of the season and still potentially challenge Greinke's record. Think about how crazy that is. He is so far below the record pace right now that even if his ERA climbs significantly over the next 4 months, he could still end up with one of the most dominant single-season ERA marks this franchise has ever seen. There is a long way to go. We know that. Seasons have twists and turns. Arms get tired. Hot hitters make adjustments. Ballparks, weather, lineup changes, baseball has a way of humbling even the greatest pitchers when they least expect it. And I'm not here to crown Shohei Ohtani as the greatest Dodger pitcher ever after 7 starts. That would be unfair to the legends who built this franchise over a century. But I will say this, and I want you to really sit with this for a second. When Shohei Ohtani's name is being mentioned alongside Fernando Valenzuela, Sandy Koufax, and Clayton Kershaw, the Mount Rushmore of Dodger pitching, and it's being mentioned not as a comparison or a conversation topic, but because the numbers literally put him in that territory right now, you are watching something special. You are watching a generational talent in the middle of a historically great season. The question is no longer whether Shohei can pitch at this level in the major leagues. He answered that question convincingly. The question now is just how high the ceiling goes. And right now, through 7 starts, with a 0.82 ERA and a list of historical company that reads like a Hall of Fame ballot, the ceiling looks very, very high. Don't take your eyes off this. Don't let the noise about his bat distract you from what's happening every 5 days when Shohei Ohtani takes the mound and makes professional hitters look like they've never seen a baseball in their lives. Be present for this. Because years from now, when people ask where you were during the 2026 season, you're going to want to say you were watching.